So welcome everyone to our today's episode of the Lunch Talk in the group Cross Connect Your Interests to Grow. My name is Azadeh Eshaghi. I'm the initiator of this group and this Lunch Talk. And the aim of this Lunch Talk is to give the possibility to open-minded and widely interested people to exchange their experiences, exchange their knowledge, exchange their ideas with each other, and to give the possibility to each other and to themselves to see new topics from another perspective, to be able to see the whole picture. So I'm very happy today to welcome my guest, Fernanda Wüthrich, and we will talk about conflict management and intercultural communications. Both of us have a communicational background. So when I studied, one of my main courses was international communication and also intercultural communication, intercultural differences. So when I found out that Fernanda has this as one of her expert fields, I was very excited and curious to talk about this topic with her. And we would like to share our ideas and especially the work and experiences of Fernanda with our audience. And therefore, I welcome you, Fernanda, to our today's Lunch Talk. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Azadeh, for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here. And congratulations for your lunch talk. I had the opportunity to see some of them, and you are doing really very well.
Thank you very much, Fernanda.
Welcome. So, yes, I came from Brazil, where I lived till 2004. Then I moved to Europe. At first, I lived 5 years in Vienna, where I studied communication science. And got my PhD at Vienna University. 2009, I moved to Switzerland because I got married. And as a researcher and mediator as well, but as mediator, I work in the area of conflict management, crisis management with the approach of intercultural communication and facilitating dialogue. And with this, I help people to be aware of the diversity aspects and to develop their communicative competences. Right. Doing this, I help managers and employees to reduce and prevent conflict at workplace, for example. For companies, I help them to build, for example, crisis committee, internal communications programs, and it all through seminars, one-on-one talk, keynotes and projects with groups, accelerators groups. We are together in one of them, scientific groups, work with colleagues from different countries. So it's really amazing to do it.
It's very wide range at what you do.
Very wide. And last year, that is very interesting. Since last year, I take part in a project. The name is Brazilian Code. Is a communication keynotes program in a partnership with the Swiss moderator Stefan Lende here in Switzerland, in Zürich. And I always say that I had the luck to meet him and that he invited me for this keynote program because I love jobs. I like jobs that I can be myself. So this combination let me think, hey, I'm not working. I'm doing what I really live.
Yeah. That should be the goal.
that is the goal for everyone, and I wish it for everyone. I finished the book that we talk about, so The Brazilian Way to Smile.
Oh,
where I tell all readers 52 individual and corporate stories. It's one story per week that you can read. And it's about the theory and praxis of intercultural communication, conflict management, diversity management, and crisis management.
That sounds very interesting.
It's also amazing.
I'm very interested.
And even though we are in this pandemic time, as a mediator, I'm still developing content that we talk about bullying at workplace using artificial intelligence and as a support to HR areas. And bullying is also a factor of conflict escalation in companies, you know.
Exactly, yeah. And it's a very, very important topic to talk about it very seriously.
And I really like, I prefer, I would say, to work with conflict and crisis prevention as then when it's already escalated. So it's also a prevention work at company.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, what are the most frequent reasons for conflicts at workplace or in general?
I would say less communication, lack of transparency, less trust, high resistance. And on a company, we have to consider the organization culture, the different management and communication styles.
Yeah.
And of course, the cultural background from our employees. So I usually work with questions. So where I was born, where I live, where do I work, where did I work, who did I marry, for example. And then I realized, hey, there are many different cultures that are playing at the same space.
Yeah.
And I usually play with two kinds of glasses, and my glass and your glass. And for today, I can show you as a surprise for you, Azadeh. And
What
I
do you
have
have?
my glass.
Ah, cool.
And I talk to my family, to my team, to my business, just with my blue eyes, I would say.
Your perspective, yeah.
But there is another eye at the other side.
Exactly.
And it will be a problem for the others that will answer me with the pink eyes if I'm talk with my blue eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
we have different backgrounds, different way of thinking, different experiences and expectations. Yeah, this is very well represented by your glasses.
And both are right. Both are right. The three of us are right.
You can see very well through both of them, but you have different perspectives. Exactly.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We just see our different colors if you consider it to understand the others. So it's important to see the other's perspective. And we need to develop this desire to see the problems with different eyes.
Yeah, and also the sense of empathy.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who think they have this sense of empathy, but in fact they don't, because they have no sense about the situation of some other people, and think that they are the normal way that you have to live, and that from another perspective, other people also feel that they do everything right, and the way of their living and culture and beliefs and everything is for them okay, more or less also the right way. And then there is sometimes also this cultural clash between in teams or in other kinds of relationships, when people have maybe a lack of information about other cultures or about other people, and then conflicts can arise.
But it is not too bad, because there are solutions for that. It's normal. It's
very curious.
Yeah, there are many solutions. We can practice this kind of openness.
Absolutely.
So this empathy that maybe is not for everyone, but we can influence this. Sorry, I forgot the word. Influence this. And develop this kind of competences. For example, sometimes we think, oh, I don't need to talk about intercultural communication because I'm Swiss and I work with Swiss people. Hey, even in Switzerland, a small country compared to Brazil, for example, we have many different cultures here. If I grow up in Zürich and I move to another place, and yes, if you talk about Bern and Zurich, we are talking already about two different cultures. So
exactly.
And in this way, it's nice to see how many managers are happy to realize that they still have some competence to develop in this sense. So in this way, it's possible to reduce this resistance and build trust. And if you build trust, it's almost difficult to talk about conflict escalation, because conflict escalation, you don't have trust anymore. And if you build trust daily in our workplace, so it will really reduce the problems.
How would you suggest, or what would be your suggestion to build trust in existing relationships or in new coming up relationships at workplace, between colleagues, between the managers and the employees, or between other kind of connections?
It's a very nice question that you are doing, because for me, the best way to start to talk about the conflict is the right way. And I'm convinced that it's better to talk about the conflict instead of manage it. So we still have a long way, but it's also a nice statement. So we have a long way, but we have solutions for that. To develop,
luckily,
yes, it's nice for us to develop this culture of the dialogue about dialogue. So even if it seems like a mission impossible, to be aware that each of us is responsible for that. And as a mediator, I invite people for the dialogue and this understand of what is happening. And it's important here to make a difference between discussion and dialogue. Because discussion, we tend to divide groups. So there are losers, there are winners, and the discussion is almost like a game where people are baiting the ideas back and forth, and the goal is to win or to get points from the other. In dialogue, however, nobody is trying to win. Everybody wins if anybody wins. So there is no game. So we are building, and you can still have different opinions, and you start a dialogue about our different opinions.
And it is good to have different opinions, because otherwise you have no chance to grow.
Yeah, exactly. We needed to grow. So we facilitate this dialogue when we have a deep interest in human communication. So, and also creativity, of course. But there is no limit when we say, let's talk about dialogue. And the intercultural communication is the potential of this communication, of the communication in
absolutely.
China. So I would say, let's start our dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have any tip for people in companies or in teams who would like to, to be the mediator between colleagues, who have seen, okay, now there we have a problem in our team and I have to react, I have to bring them together and to start a dialogue or trialogue or whatever. Do you have any tip for them how to proceed to do that? Is there something that they should keep in mind?
Yes, of course. If it's not the manager, the team manager should be someone that are designed to be this facilitator for the dialogue. It's also a good question, because that is not a role for anybody to be a mediator for a conflict. So in team, you should also, companies or teams should also discuss and say, hey, who can do it better, or who can do it when? So who is prepared and who is able to be the facilitator? And this facilitator is the observer. So this observer will, I have a very simple method. It is inputs, considerations, and feedback. And if you are an observer, you realize
input, consideration, and feedback, just to repeat it.
Yeah, so the observer, sorry,
Yeah.
will understand, will hear. So here is the first competence that we all have to develop. You hear these inputs from our team. We will make considerations as I have the permission to be this facilitator, this observer.
Yeah.
And then I will bring it back, what I have heard, and I will talk with my team. I will talk with this team, because it's also important to choose the person that has this trust from the team. It doesn't make sense if you choose someone that the others doesn't feel safe to talk.
Sure, yeah, if they don't have already not a good feeling or not a good relationship, or at least a bad relationship, then it's not a good position to start from. Right.
So it should be an example for the team. So I would say, if you want to be very didactic, so the team should choose. Normally they already have it, but if it's not, still not have, so choose someone or choose a committee that will be aware what is happening in the company.
But do you think that in reality, if there is a serious conflict, or even not a serious, a starting conflict in a team, that the people, the person who are involved in this conflict, are mentally ready to think even about the right person to be the mediator?
No, it should be before. Because of this, we talk about prevention.
Or even before. Those people who have the problem, or who are causing the problem, do you believe that they are able at all to think about, or even do you think that they realize that a conflict is coming up, or that the next step would be, do you think that they are in their situation ready to think about someone to help them? Because my impression is sometimes that they are so much focusing on their own perspective and on their own views and ideas that they even don't think about the other person. So thinking about a mediator, I don't know if they...
Yes, I would answer yes and no, and to say why. Some of them are able, yes, to say, hey, this conflict exists, it's already almost in the escalation, so I don't talk to my colleague anymore, or I don't talk to my boss anymore. There's also some case like this, but I want to solve this problem. I also contribute for this, and I'm aware. It is not normal, it is not, how to say that most of the times, but it happens, I had already.
Yeah.
And say, no, we need a third person. Sometimes it's the mediator and the company. It depends how big is the company.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to look for me and for my colleagues. So
exactly,
to come someone from outside to talk about.
And it's neutral, has no...
And then the parties will say, okay, we are able to talk or to start a dialogue to find out solutions with someone helping us. This process is not like, 1 + 1 is 2. Sometimes they need time to, okay, I'm ready now, I don't want. So yes. And no, people sometimes are not ready to realize that they need support for this conversation, because sometimes they want this. Sometimes there are conflicts. For example, I know I have an experience that a manager didn't want to have the employee anymore, but he didn't want, he said, I don't know what to say. He's doing everything okay. He's doing everything, but I don't want him anymore in my team. So, and then he starts sometimes not aware, but yes, the other parts know, okay, it was I'm guilty for that. Okay. So there are some ways And the most important here is not to go in this fact, because the mediator don't do the solution, don't bring the solution. We help people to think about the problems
and to find their own solutions.
Their own solutions.
Yeah.
And most of the times I see really it's really dialogue. People sometimes cannot talk about it and cannot talk about their problems because they don't know, or maybe because they don't want. And it happens also for companies, because here we are talking our different colors.
Sorry?
No problem.
I was checking our live stream to see if there are any comments, and then it started speaking. So
okay, no problem. And then we are talking here about individuals, mediation with people, but do also mediation for companies. So for example, companies that are preparing in a process to be sold for international buyers. So it's also a talk, is also a dialogue between cultures and many other aspects. I'm talking just about communication between companies. And in these companies, we have to also to develop many internal communication programs, because the employees has to be prepared for this change. And some of them maybe will say, no, I don't need this change. But this conclusion, they need help with the mediation. So that is what you say is a commercial mediation.
Yeah.
People involved, but the biggest goal is related to companies that to be sold, or the properties that will be sold. Sometimes the company is also very big. There are many areas, but this area is not interesting anymore for this company. They want to sell it. And it's also very interesting because we go to different cultures and we see exactly dialogue we can bring us to a solution.
And that's the other point that I wanted to ask you about. We mentioned already, there are a lot of companies nowadays who work with international teams, and which means also that automatically a lot of different cultures clash and come together. And then of course we have intercultural differences, what we mentioned before. Now, what is your opinion about, especially about intercultural differences or intercultural communication in a company or in a team? What is your experience?
Yes, in this point I would like to answer, like, here we have it to think about country culture. So it's intercultural difference in a country, companies culture, different work cultures, people cultures, so communication style. I'm from Brazil. I work in Switzerland in American company. Okay, I have to be aware of that. So I'm from Brazil. I'm working in an accelerator group with people from Dominican Republic, from Israel, from Germany, and we have different opinions of the same point.
Exactly.
And it's when you say, hey, I have to handle it, and it is important to understand each other from this, that we talk about these perspectives. So when you say, okay, let's talk about time, let's talk about management, or what means respect for you. For example, for some countries, if you talk about, oh, you are a woman, and how do you talk with this woman? Oh, okay. For some countries, it's no problem. For others, say, hey, what are you doing here? What are you saying for me? What is respect?
Yeah, exactly.
For example, when we say, oh, we wanted to develop the thinking of teamwork. What is teamwork in a very individualistic culture? What is teamwork in a very collective culture?
Yeah.
At the company and our own cultures. So we have to to be able to understand sometimes the words, the terms. For example, I usually talk with many hands and with eyes, and I say this. When I moved to Europe, I had to learn that I can still be competent, and if I speak with less hands.
To keep your hands together.
Of course, as I
Which
told
is
you,
not bad to
bad.
have some kind of body language and to
Yes.
show interest.
Yes. And as I told you, it is nice also when you keep our way to be. And for example, in my
And the individuality, yeah.
individuality and in my seminars, I also before the pandemic, I used it to touch the people, and I didn't have I never had problem with this. But sometimes I also realize, people are not
no more touching.
No, yeah, now with 2 meters distance, but it's still possible to touch people. It is very interesting because I'm also working with some groups, sometimes 3, 4, 5 people, managers, and they are having problems to remote management. Yeah. So people, the team feels like, oh, I was forgotten for my manager. We don't see each other again every day.
They don't feel involved.
Involved, embrace it.
Yeah.
So, and I also say there are many possibilities to embrace the other without arms. So we can call someone and you can say, hey, how are you today? I didn't call you just to ask, did you finish your work? Yeah. How about your goals? No.
Or just sending a WhatsApp message or a WhatsApp short message, something.
I have a project at the moment with a company. It's a small company, but it's doing very nice. It's doing well, I would say. There is a virtual program meeting. Because people are saying, oh, it's hard for the break time. I don't meet anybody. I cannot have my cigar alone because I want to talk with these people. And it's serious. It's serious.
People miss each other.
Yes, maybe people who are used to working home offices, okay, I can do it. But people who are used to work in a team together to see each other every day.
Absolutely. It's a big difference.
And then we build it together that people 50 minutes per day, they choose when they will do it. They call each other and sometimes someone that they don't know very well. And they call with Teams. They are using Teams. And they talk and what do you do in your job? What do you do? And they are talking and the first feedbacks, I still don't have the whole result, but the first feedbacks, it is really, really nice because people could realize that in this situation, sometimes it's not possible to change everything. So they are meeting each other, they are holding each other, and people said, one person said this week, hey, yes, what do you mean with hugs? I felt me, I don't know, get hugged. I felt this hug.
Hugged, yeah.
Hugged for my colleague. And they didn't have much contact before.
Yeah.
So we have the problem. We cannot change it. Coronavirus is here. And I'm also happy, I would say, that many people will keep doing homework or home office.
Yeah.
They are also realize that it's better to
be together.
Work-life balance. And now this tolerance that we have to make mistakes, it's a goal that I reached.
This is a very interesting point. Yeah, it's a very interesting point because I was looking at the home office story all the time, only from another perspective. It was for me more, okay, the technology is right now, people and companies are forced to use the technology. They don't have any other, they cannot say, okay, we cannot do it. They have to do it. So of course, for some people, it's very difficult if they have the family and the kids at home and they have to cope with all these challenges. But in general, a lot of people have done now the experience that they say, okay, right now I was never thinking about working remotely, and now I did the experience. I actually can work very, very good and efficiently at home. Yes. But at the same time, other people say, okay, working at home is not really the best solution for me. I prefer to go to the office. If I'm in the office, I can work more focused and come to better results than staying at home at the dinner table. So it's we have always both sides. Yes. But I think it's also a very good approach. Yes. The way you said, only on the personal level.
Yes,
see, okay, I actually like my colleagues, and they are not that bad and annoying as I always
meet again. Yeah. And it's the role of the observer, for the facilitator at the company, for the manager, to realize these different people that they have in team, and say, oh, with A, it's okay if he or she keeps working in home office, for the others not. So this person has to realize what would be the best solution for their teams.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Great. Because, yeah, it's very important. Yeah, thank you very much, Fernanda. Well, just to sum up, we had these two topics: intercultural communication or conflict. Actually, conflict management, and when just to sum up, if we see there are conflicts coming up, so it's very important to talk to each other, right, and to try to solve the problems as soon as possible. If we see we need some problem, maybe we have to look after a mentor. If we have someone inside the company, inside the team, very good. Otherwise, we can call someone like you to help us. And and also about intercultural communications, it's the same. We have to be aware that every person from every part of the country has their own perspectives. It's the same. And we have to respect each other and to try to understand what is the other perspective. Why does the other person react the way they do? And I think it's also very important not to think that my way of living and thinking is the perfect one. Right. And the other people have to adapt to my perspective and my way of thinking and ideology. I think if we would a little bit change this way of thinking, then a lot of things would be easier. Yes. Not only in the intercultural communication.
This is intercultural intelligence, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And we have to promote that more and more.
Let's do. We are doing.
We're doing, great. Okay, Fernanda, one more thing. Would you please add, after our conversation, the link of your LinkedIn profile?
Yes, I will.
If you like, also from your website below this video in the comments.
Okay.
On different channels where we will post it later, so that people can connect with you, and maybe they need your services. They can ask you questions or work together with you, or just exchange experiences. Yes. Would be very helpful.
Not only for service, I'm very open for exchange ideas.
Exchanging, exactly.
Communities.
Absolutely. Networking. Very good. Very
come get together.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So thanks a lot, and see you very soon.
See you very soon. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.